Keto people think carbs are the enemy. Vegans think animal fat is the enemy. The standard Western diet thinks both sides are extreme, and yet metabolic disease keeps rising. So either everyone is wrong, or everyone is missing something. You can be keto and still inflamed. You can be vegan and still insulin resistant. You can eat balanced and still metabolically unstable. The problem was never the tribe, it's the signal. Recently, public discussions, including statements from figures like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., have pushed protein back into the spotlight and criticized refined grains. And let me say this clearly, he's not entirely wrong. Refined grains destabilize blood sugar. Ultra-processed carbohydrates increase glycemic variability. Low protein intake accelerates muscle loss. Insufficient amino acids impair recovery and metabolic resilience. Protein matters. Meta-analyses show higher protein improves satiety, preserves lean mass during fat loss, and supports metabolic health. In aging populations, adequate protein reduces risk of sarcopenia. The RDA of 0.8 grams per kilogram is a survival minimum, not an optimization target. For most active individuals, research supports around 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. For many women, that's roughly 70 to 120 grams per day. More may be appropriate during resistance training or lactation. But here is where nuance begins. More protein is not automatically better. Beyond moderate high protein ranges, benefits plateau for most people, and context determines outcome. Protein without fiber behaves differently than protein with fiber. Protein in a low diversity gut behaves differently than protein in a plant-rich microbiome. Very high protein intake combined with very low plant intake can increase colonic protein fermentation. That does not mean protein causes weight gain, but when gut diversity is low and inflammatory signaling is elevated, metabolic flexibility can decline. And when metabolic flexibility declines, fat loss becomes harder, even if calories appear controlled. So the issue is not protein, the issue is sequencing. Powerful tools work best in the right order. If your metabolism has been stressed for years, blood sugar swings, chronic inflammation, gut imbalance, the smartest move is not extreme protein escalation. The smartest move is metabolic preparation. First, stabilize blood sugar, increase plant diversity, support micronutrient density, reduce inflammatory load. Not a trendy detox, your liver and kidneys detox you every day. What I'm talking about is metabolic stabilization. When vegetables dominate the base of your plate, when fiber diversity improves, when inflammation decreases, protein works better. And let's define high protein correctly. High protein is not 250 grams per day. High protein in a strategic metabolic framework means approximately 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. Enough to preserve lean mass, enough to support satiety, enough to maintain metabolic strength, but not so much that you overwhelm metabolic flexibility. Because yes, in ketogenic contexts, extremely high protein intake can reduce ketone levels in some individuals due to increased gluconeogenesis, not because protein is harmful, but because metabolism is adaptive. Keto is not maximal protein. Keto is stable fuel and metabolic flexibility. Now let's address the other side. Animal-heavy diets are not metabolically neutral. Higher intake of processed red meat is associated in multiple epidemiological datasets with less favorable cardiovascular markers. Replacing saturated fats with unsaturated fats improves lipid profiles in many individuals. At the same time, plant-forward dietary patterns consistently show improved endothelial function, lower inflammatory markers, and improved vascular flexibility. Does that mean animal foods are poison? No. Does it mean context matters? Yes. If a new food pyramid emphasizes protein but visually sidelines vegetables, we risk repeating history, just inverted. Micronutrient density matters. Polyphenols matter, magnesium matters, potassium matters. Cruciferous vegetables influence detox pathways. Fiber diversity shapes microbiome resilience. Protein without plant density is incomplete. Plants without adequate protein are incomplete. Keto stabilizes fuel availability. Vegan improves cellular environment. Protein preserves structure. Integration creates resilience. And now, let's be honest about supplements. Modern soil depletion, chronic stress, and high training demands mean many individuals benefit from strategic supplementation. A comprehensive vegan multivitamin with B12, D3, and K2, algae-based omega-3, iodine, selenium, often 2 Brazil nuts, magnesium, creatine in appropriate doses. That is not a weakness of the diet, it is adaptation to modern civilization. This is not about choosing sides, it's about ending the diet war. Keto alone is incomplete. Vegan alone is incomplete. High protein alone is incomplete. Signal alignment is the upgrade. Keto and vegan can work. Simple, strategic, evidence-based. Make no more compromises. Subscribe if you prefer clarity over tribalism.